Hi, I'm Tom Stickney, and today we're at the beautiful Kingdom in Carlsbad, California, TaylorMade's Tour Performance Center. Today I want to show you a shot that you face a lot of times, about 40-50 yards, and we hear a lot about what type of wedge player should you be. Should you be more of a leading edge wedge player, where you drive it more on the ground, or should you use the bounce, where you kind of brush the ground, with the back of the club? More of a leading edge wedge players are more of the guys that kind of chop up, chop down, make a little bit of a divot, and tend to spin it a good bit. The more bounce type of wedge players like Steve Stricker, you'll see have a long flowing golf swing, won't have a lot of wrist hinge, and the ball will jump up in the air and it stops pretty quickly, but it won't have quite the spin of a leading edge wedge player. So how do we do the two styles? Well, first of all, we're going to put the ball right in the center. We're going to have our weight anchored forward and our hands pressed forward for both shots. The difference would be the wrist hinge. In order to use the leading edge, we're going to have a little bit more of a set as you go back, so the club comes in a little steeper and the pivot carries it through. Once again, that's going to drive that leading edge into the ground. It's going to spin a little bit more and it's going to come off a little bit flatter because we're leaning the shaft forward. So here we go. Ball in the center, hands and weight forward, a little bit of set. Ball comes out a little low. And you can see that ball came out pretty low and has a lot of spin. Certainly one way to do it. The other way to do is to be more of a bounce type of wedge player. So once again, we're going to put the ball in the center of our stance, hands and weight forward, and we're going to keep our wrist action very, very little. We're not going to hinge the wrist a whole bunch, so we actually hit back in here, the back part of this blade, and that hoists the ball up in the air. Won't have quite as much spin, but it'll have a little bit steeper descent angle so the ball will stop. So to hit that Steve Stricker type of shot, here we go. No wrist hinge, ball in the center, hands and weight forward. And you can see that ball flew up in the air a little bit softer, and it's pretty good as well. So once again, you have to figure out what type of wedge player tends to suit your game. Are you more of a leading edge wedge player with more hinge and a steeper angle of attack? Or are you more a shallow bounce type of wedge player like Steve Stricker, no wrist hinge, more of a sweepy type of motion using the back of the blade? Experiment with the two styles and the two spins that they create, and you're going to have a lot of fun.